Hello. Hi, ADHD 7712. Hi, everyone. Hi, Sean B. Is the music cool? I have no clue. No clue. Turn the camera on. Hi, folks. I tried to show the rain here earlier and wasn't able to, or I couldn't figure out my live thing. Oh, God, I like the way it looked in the mirror, and now I'm not sure what's going on. I think I might need to fix it again. I don't know. All right. Hi, everyone. First and foremost, oh, I know what I need to do. Hang on, you guys. Okay, that's better. I didn't have any eyeliner on top on. Hi, everyone. Hi, Stardust. So I'm glad you like the music. It'll be interesting to see what it is. How's the sound? Does the sound good? Now, I could sit on this chair, but I won't be able to see chat. You know what I mean? Until I get my new contacts, I can't see a cotton picking thing. Oh, what a bummer. Mm. See? Be nice to be able to sit like other people, but okay, so I'll move this and I'll sit on these pillows. My plan, when I get my little inheritance thing, which is getting closer to fruition, thank God, I'll be able to get my contacts and pay for my appointment for it. Now, I wasn't going to go live. I said on one of my earlier lives when I was just doing live, regular live, that I was feeling a little bit, well, my arm is extremely sore. I mean, extremely. From here where the shot was all the way down to my wrist. It's definitely better right now than this morning. My daughter's too, from getting the booster. I'm glad I did it though, you know, it's important. Anyway, and then also before I forget, so anyway, I made these little lives and I deleted them because I didn't have the camera turned around to even show the pools of water down the parking lot. I mean, I'm talking like a river. You know, cars were going through it, water was going everywhere. It just pell-melled for hours. But I meant to show you guys this yesterday. My 13-year coin at AA. There's the X for a 10 and 3 lines. See? And it's heavy. It's not plastic, it's heavy. And it says, to thine own self be true, which I really like, right? To thine own self be true. Sorry, my tremors just suck. And then on the back, it has the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And this is for people that have never seen one. Oh, where's the lighting better? There, maybe? There we go. Serenity prayer has an AA on the back. Thanks, Stardust. Yeah, I got my 12-year one about a month ago because I wasn't going to AA for a while. And I didn't have my 11-year one because I went to AA really sporadically through last summer. And then the 2 years before that, number 9 and 10, was in 2020 and 2021. And I really wasn't going anywhere then. So I have them all now, and I'm really pretty happy. And they're in a little purple bag in the kitchen. And I'll show all of them tomorrow. I'll just show each one. 1, 2, 3, the 4, the 5. I'm learning Roman numerals. I couldn't remember the name of them before. And I forgot to read this yesterday. Copyright disclaimer. This video is for educational purpose only. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All right. How is everyone tonight? So, Law and Crime came up on my thing. Shout out to them. I'm going to show their 20-minute video on what's happened with her. I'll stop it every 15 seconds like I do, but this woman has, I think, millions. I don't think it was thousands. Millions of followers on, is it Instagram? Now I can't remember, but beautiful blonde girl. And yeah, did this pink COCAINE and went from 57 miles an hour, I believe. I listened to it yesterday, up to 80, being high on this. And this drug is also called, I don't know if I can say it. I'll spell it. TRUCY. Or maybe it's TRUSIE. Or maybe it's TRUSY. I don't know, and it has all kinds of things all mixed in it. METAH. Now I'm trying to remember. COCAINE, of course. The date RAPE drug. Anyway, you'll hear the guy saying there's like 5. It's a cocktail of really bad things. And when the cops were talking to her and she was incoherent and then starts getting really weirded out on the ground, on the street, which I don't know if she lost her top and her brassiere or if she didn't have one on, but she was half naked. Now they blur it out. You don't see anything, but she was higher than a kite. And it's pretty serious, you guys, because she kills 3 people and injures the wife of her fiance. 3 different vehicles are involved. That's why I have 3 different vehicles up there. Um, and yeah, so just hang on here 1 second, okay? Okay, so here it is. Goodness gracious. It says Instagram model. So it was Instagram. High on pink. It's 18 minutes and 46 seconds long. And let me get it set up. Okay.
She got into this horrible accident and then she walked away, and it appeared that she was under the influence of drugs at the time she was driving the car without a license, killing 2 people.
An Instagram model appears in court to find out if she'll be granted a bond after a horrific chain reaction car
Sorry
crash
about
out in
that.
Miami.
I thought it was
We're
3.
detailing the felony charges she currently faces and what she could face with trial attorney Bob Hilla. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber.
All right. Jesse Weber. I hope he doesn't get upset with me for playing this and stopping every 15 seconds.
Lathers is probably used to being in the spotlight. 24-year-old artist and model, has thousands of followers on Instagram.
Thank you,
but
Sean B.
one of her latest photos, it's missing the makeup, it's missing the filters, it's missing the likes. You know why? Because it's her mugshot. Yeah. Miami police say Lathers was speeding down a stretch of road 2 weekends ago, just after 6:45 a.m., and went right through a red light, and the Mercedes-Benz that she was driving ended up slamming into a Range Rover that was being driven by a man in his 20s, and then both vehicles ended up crashing with a Suzuki carrying 3 people, killing both the driver and one of the passengers.
Good grief. Oh boy. She's in some deep doo-doo. All right, did you guys hear that? All right, so 3 cars were involved. Only 2 people died. I'll have to change. I'll take 1 car out and 1 headstone. Thank you, Sean B. Thank you. All right, you guys. 24 watching. That's nice. Not many in the chat, but that's okay. And I got some nice subs yesterday. I believe it's because according to Leanie. She told them about my channel when I popped in and said hello. And I didn't expect it at all. I wasn't even thinking it. I was just saying hi. And hi, Navy wife, MGA. Hello. Oh, Okie Crime News. Hi there. Did I miss other names? I hope not. All right, here we go.
Lathers and the Range Rover driver, they were also injured, according to her arrest report. But Lathers still reportedly tried to leave the scene of the accident. But you know what happened? Bystanders actually stopped her and brought her back. Hey, so I want to thank Upside for sponsoring this episode of Sidebar. So Upside is a free app that gets you cash back on...
Okay. Let me forward it past this advertisement.
All, Lathers faces 8 felony counts, 2 counts of driving without a license and causing death for the driver and the backseat passenger of the Suzuki, 2 counts of driving without a license and causing serious injury for the Suzuki's other passenger and the driver of the Range Rover, 2 counts of leaving the scene of a crash that caused death, and 2 counts of leaving the scene of a crash that caused serious injuries. However, there is a chance that her charges could be upgraded. And before we even get into her latest appearance in court and what happened, I want to bring in trial attorney Bob Hilla, who's back here on Sidebar. Bob, good to see you. Thanks so much for coming on.
Okay, this lawyer says, I don't know, I can't remember. Either says it's easy to prosecute these or not so easy. You'd think it'd be easy. But this lawyer, Bob Hella, is going to speak.
Sidebar. Bob, good to see you. Thanks so much for coming on. How tough do you think it is to prosecute these kinds of cases? On one hand, it seems pretty straightforward, but is it?
Well, I think a lot's going to depend on the toxicology report coming back. Because, again, a lot of the issue she raised, which are probably going to be part of her defense, was that she was on this cocaine drug and, that she really didn't have full use of her faculties.
Yeah.
But I think this is going to be a tough case for the defense. I mean, I think the simpler a case is for the state to prove, the easier it is for the jury to convict, I think. Again, there's no question she's the one that caused the deaths and the injuries. There's no question that she ran the red light. I mean, there may be some challenges to that, but all the witnesses are going to be lined up against her on it.
And probably surveillance footage,
right?
Camera footage. I'll tell you what.
Do you guys think in chat it's going to be hard to prosecute this? When 2 people died, a third is really injured, and I believe a 4th was pretty injured too. I mean, why? Because of a toxicology report? It's going to come back with all this stuff in her system. And like Jesse Weber said, all they have to do is show the cameras too what she did. I mean, I feel actually really, really bad for her. She's 24, right? She had her whole life ahead of her. But I don't know. I don't know what to say. So here we go.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought, because I want to get into the charges that she could be facing, and also that drug that you mentioned too. But one of the things I saw is, so her Instagram account has little more than 11,000 followers, posing in bikinis, very suggestive photos. Her bio reads, "Money on my brain, dope in real life." Because this is getting a lot of attention because of her social media following.
Hi,
Does that come into
AK-47.
evidence at all? Is that relevant at all, her Instagram?
I don't know that those two comments on her Instagram
And all the
site,
photos and everything.
it makes great press.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's going to make necessary evidence or essential evidence in the trial. I mean, the real things they're going to focus on is that she should have been behind the wheel in the first place because she was suspended.
Right.
So that's going to lay
see?
down a basis for, was that reckless to be there in the first place? Then taking the drug.
That's what I mean. I forgot that part. Her license was suspended and she was driving. Middle of the afternoon, floors it down a city street in, now I can't remember. Do you guys remember? Did he say this happened in Florida or California? I want to say California. Does anyone remember in chat? It said it in the beginning. If no one remembers, I'll just keep going.
Again, the toxicology report's going to have to show that because in Florida, if it's a DUI,
Oh, it is Florida.
that's a second-degree felony with a 15-year.
You're talking about DUI manslaughter, right?
Right.
So
Vehicular homicide with
right.
DUI.
Because prosecutors, and this is what I wanted to get into, they have indicated they may in fact charge her with DUI manslaughter, and it depends upon the results of the toxicology report. Now, my understanding is that is a second-degree felony that carries 15 years in prison, but before we came on, you said it could be even more.
Right, because it's the leaving the scene issue that bumps both the reckless vehicular homicide and the DUI homicide up from a second degree with a 15-year max to a 30-year cap. So she's facing some serious charges here. I gotta believe.
No wonder she was crying. Well, I mean, anyone would be, but she had her wrists, cuffed, and she's in her orange jumper thing on TV the other day. Hi, what's happening, Andrea Presley? Hi, everyone. It's just going to be about an hour live as usual, and then it's early here. It's only 5:34, and then I'm going to make dinner. All right. Okay, just a second, okay? All right.
With the evidence they have, just from the aftermath of the accident and what happened and the witnesses there that held her, that they're going to upgrade those charges. They're just waiting for the toxicology reports to come back from when she was treated at the hospital.
And by the way, it's recklessness and negligent. I mean, what were two different standards?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, and I didn't check this out to see whether if it's negligence, obviously it would be some sort of a lower exposure. But in this case, I don't think there's any question but it being reckless. I mean, flying through a red light.
What she would have to say,
Hi,
I flew through the red light, but it wasn't my fault. It was the other driver who came out of nowhere or something, right? This can't be the first case where somebody speeds or goes through a red light.
I stop it like this about every 10, 12 seconds. Hi, Jada Schwitz. So I don't get a copyright. No one's asking in chat. I'm just reiterating. So far, I've done okay. As long as you make it your own, you can show parts of other people's programs.
And yet they're trying to argue they weren't responsible for a car crash.
Well, they're likely going to argue that. I mean, what else can they argue really on that? That they're going to say that.
Well,
I wasn't I was negligent. I didn't see the light. But how could she say she ran the red light?
Please hit the like.
Because apparently she gave that statement. How could she even say she was on these drugs unless she knew that she was on those?
Let's talk about that, because this is where I think it gets complicated.
Okay, that's a good point.
What was allegedly in her system, and could that help her defense in a way? I'll explain why. So Lathers appeared in court on Friday for a bond hearing, and she was wearing a green prison vest. Again, a very different look than what she's used to, and she had a private attorney who appeared via Zoom. So the judge started out by releasing the public defender's office from needing to represent her.
All right. Is that a SUICIDE suit she's wearing, right? Because it's green. It's got to be. I should know by now, but it certainly looks like it. Boy, don't do drugs or drink and get behind the wheel. Thank you, Keith. Thank you. That's nice. Yeah, saying hi to everyone in chat too. So, yeah, I think 3 cars were involved, but only 2 people died. I'm pretty sure about that. So I just have to remove one headstone on the thing. I think this court hearing for her, you guys, is in November. Maybe it's October since people are talking about it now, but this is just the preface to this situation. And in a little bit, they have video cam of her laying on the ground, freaking out, saying weird things, not hardly knowing
And
where
then
she is.
the judge read from Lathers' arrest report. Before we even get into the drugs and everything, let's listen a little bit to this.
After the crash, there's video surveillance of her exiting the vehicle and walking northbound away from the crash, never rendering aid or calling 911 to assist those who were injured in the crash. Unknown bystanders grabbed a defendant and took her back to the scene of the crash and helped her until the police arrived. So basically, the cars were all landed in different locations. And when the police arrived, they saw that she was under the influence. I guess police were assisting her. They asked her questions. She advised she was under the influence of 2C, a known party drug, and that she was from the future and had a crystal ball. And she was placed in the recovery position until fire rescue arrived because she was vomiting.
Apparently, the recovery position, something new that I learned. Okay, how do I get this blue upside down thing off? See? And then this happens because I tried to get it off. Okay, just a second. Okay, I said Trucy. I think. the beginning of my program, it's 2C. Weird. Okay.
She was placed in a recovery position until fire rescue arrived because she was vomiting. And so victim 1 had to be extracted from the vehicle 3 and was transported to the hospital, Ryder Trauma, and in critical condition, and was later pronounced deceased due to his injuries. Victim 2 was removed from vehicle 3 and transported to Jackson with facial and arm lacerations. Victim 3 was pronounced deceased on the scene by the fire rescue. Victim 4 was transported to JMH in stable condition. So there's 2.
Okay, so there were 4 people involved. Okay, I believe only 3 cars. 4 people, 2 died. Thank you, Ann P. Thank you. Yeah, I got these a pretty long time ago. They're kind of leafy in fall, but I kind of liked the color. Thought it might go with my shirt. Thank you, sweetie. Okay.
2 people that died and 2 that were injured. The vehicle was registered to her, but she doesn't have a Florida's driver's license. And a further search revealed that under her date of birth and name, she has a Florida driver's license, and it was suspended indefinitely January 16th of 2024. So that's what this case is about.
Okay, so other than just how horrific.
Wow, you guys. Why can't I get rid of that? Oh, I know. I could make it bigger maybe. But now it's really low. Okay, just a second here.
That whole scene was, as we talked about, the
Okay,
license
you
had
do
been
hit it.
suspended indefinitely, meaning she wasn't allowed to be driving, period. But now I want to talk about what you just heard there, 2C, right? 2C, this drug. It's been called pink cocaine, and according to an NYU Medical School report published in 2023, it's usually a combination of a lot of different drugs: ketamine, ecstasy, cocaine, meth, opioids, other psychoactives. And researchers say its pink color is really just for looks, aesthetics. According to the Florida Poison Control Center, 2C can cause things like racing heart rate, increased blood pressure, stroke, seizures. It's been popular in Europe and Latin America for a while now.
What? I don't remember hearing that yesterday. It's been popular in Latin America for a while now. I know, how awful. So if any of you ever see, any family members or kids with this pink stuff, you better ask them about it or toss it out and then ask them about it, because otherwise they might want to save it. You know how kids are. Wow.
Now, but it's a big part of the party scene in Miami now. This is according to police. And last summer, it apparently was the #1 narcotic Customs and Border Protection officers were finding when they busted international passengers. In fact, if you've been following us here on Sidebar, you may say, why does that sound so familiar, that idea of pink cocaine? Well, it was one of the drugs that Sean P. Diddy Combs is accused of having on hand at parties and events. He's facing multiple lawsuits right now accused.
Oh, great. I didn't know that. I'm not following all this P. Diddy stuff anymore. Honestly, I'm just glad he's not out in society right now, because he's in a lot of trouble.
Accusing him of everything from drug and human trafficking to rape and physical assault. And in a lawsuit filed by Combs' ex-girlfriend, Young Miami, she accuses Combs of having her transport 2C for him on private planes. So, Bob, here's the thing, right? Voluntary intoxication, not a defense, right? If you ingest something, it affects your capabilities, your awareness, you're not going to be able to argue that. I say that, but I always have to think to myself now, look at the Bryn Spesher case. I don't know if you're familiar with this one. So she was high on marijuana when she stabbed this young man 108 times, killed him, brutally killed him, found guilty by a jury of manslaughter, but the judge refused to sentence her to prison. There was an argument.
What? Oh, golly. Her parents must be just, not her parents, his parents must be just sick. Did you guys hear what I just heard? 100 and some stabbings on that poor young man. She didn't get any jail time. So this is why Jesse Weber is questioning it, being so high you don't even know what you're doing. And the thing is, I'm not justifying, but maybe she left the scene of the crime because the way she acts, she doesn't even act like she knows she was in an accident, kind of, when you watch the video with me. So maybe there was a part of her that didn't know really what she did or even remembered the impact. But who knows?
Argument that she had a marijuana-induced psychosis, felt that prison time was no longer warranted. After that case, I feel like it sets the stage differently. If you're taking a narcotic and these were not the reactions that you were predicting, I mean, you heard some of the things that she was allegedly saying on the scene. What do you think?
The voluntary intoxication is always kind of an interesting issue because part of that theory is that you're of sane mind and you have your voluntary decision-making process intact when you take this drug or alcohol, and you know that as a result of that, it's going to impair your ability to exercise rational judgment. In some cases, it may be the reason why you're taking it. And then you're going to go out and do something. So the expectation is that if it's foreseeable or it's something within the realm of, what you should be charged with not doing when you're taking that drug. Now, I guess there's an argument, and maybe that judge looked at that.
Goodness gracious. I don't know. This is very surprising to me. I wanted to do this because she's going to have a trial pretty soon, cover this case. And she's young, and I've never heard of this ever, 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 ever. And when it came on my iPad, I was like, wow, I want to cover that trial. But again, this is just the preface to why she's in jail and going to trial.
That at some point, does the consequences of it, or does it trigger with another event, unbeknownst to, let's say there's an underlying psychosis that the person's not aware of, that the interaction of the two now causes that person to behave in a way that really goes beyond this whole theory of voluntary intoxication.
I mean, it was just for me when she's like, I'm from the future and I had a crystal ball. I was like, these kind of outrageous claims. Now, I'm sure maybe she could say, yes, I took the drug. I had no intention of going behind the wheel. I don't even know how I got the car keys. They're her car, but I don't even know. I think that could be a stretch. I think it could be a stretch. But I do want to ask your opinion about this. So during the hearing, the Miami-Dade County prosecutor laid out all the reasons why they were requesting a $500,000 bond. Let's check this out.
And it looks like, based upon the results of the toxicology, we're likely going to charge her with DUI manslaughter. It does appear that she was under the influence of controlled substances at the
Yes, it does appear. Crazy. Yes, Stardust, it is.
time of the incident, based upon her statements, her vomiting. I believe she would be a potential flight risk in that these are extraordinarily serious charges, and we may be filing charges that include minimum mandatories with a manslaughter.
Your office hasn't filed a motion for pretrial detention as of today's date, and this case has been here for a couple of days, since August 10th when she was arrested.
So,
I agree.
So I think if we file DUI manslaughter, we can't file that until we get the results. Right? We may be able to file that motion. But she got into this horrible accident and then she walked away, and it appeared that she was under the influence of drugs at the time she was driving the car without a license, killing 2 people. The state's requesting a $500,000 bond plus house arrest as well as a no drive order.
Wow. All right, let's continue.
Now, Lather's attorney wasn't too happy with the bond that the state suggested. Take a look at this.
Your Honor, if I may.
Please.
Your Honor, I think a $500,000 bond is unreasonable and is tantamount to no bond. Your Honor, if the state is requesting house arrest as a condition, then I think that there are other parameters that would be justifiable to lower that bond. If she's going to be placed on house arrest, perhaps the court could place her on an ankle monitor or something of that nature. But I think a $500,000 bond is unreasonable. She doesn't pose a danger to the community. She's a college graduate. She's been in the state of Florida, Your Honor, for almost 2 years. So I don't think that there's anything to suggest that she's a flight risk. And again, Your Honor, if they're asking for a house arrest as in condition, then I don't see why the bond should be $500,000.
And so what?
Okay.
Did the judge do? The judge ended up assigning a bond to each charge, which added up to $140,000.
Because I believe an increased bond is warranted. She's an absolute danger to the community based on killing two for driving when she shouldn't have been in a car. And she's clearly impaired based on her statements. And if it wasn't for the citizens or witnesses nearby who stopped her, she would have completely fled. So that's my ruling. Any other issues you can address with the division judge, who's Judge Pooler. Good day. Thank you, Mr. Gordon.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Now, Lathers, she didn't speak during the hearing except to respond to the court when the judge told her she can't get behind the wheel.
You are not allowed to drive a motor vehicle while this case is pending. Do you understand, ma'am? Okay.
And Lathers is due back in court for her next hearing on September 3rd. Bob, was that the right decision?
Well, I think it's a decision that's probably not going to be.
Okay, so a hearing in September 3rd. Yeah, I think October is when this trial will be going on.
Reversed. I mean, I think the judge had a sound basis for what she did. I think she tried to weigh all the factors, and she came to, I think a reasonable conclusion on that with respect to the bail. She is a danger to the community, and the problem was that she's already had a prohibition from being behind a wheel, and she disregarded the law in that respect. Now she's going to be facing some pretty significant charges, and in many states, I'm not sure Florida's one, you don't even necessarily need a toxicology report to prove under the influence. I mean, it's, maybe a fact question for the jury, and there may be more play with the defense. But, the observations of the officers at the time and what she was saying will play into that.
Even though we kind of explored the idea of defenses, it feels like an open and shut case.
Maybe this isn't the one where they have a video of her. Or maybe it'll be shown here pretty soon. If not, I'll find it.
It's a tragedy what happened, and it was senseless. I would imagine she has to be considering seriously a plea deal, right? Instead of taking this trial. And if that's the case, what would a plea deal even look like?
Well, she has to. I mean, the interesting thing here is that leaving the scene elevates everything, and that kind of doubles her criminal exposure. But
please hit the like.
I think where the under the influence can help her is when you heard the description by the judge about from the police record. You could argue that she didn't know where she was. She was just in a horrific accident. Albeit she caused it, but she's disoriented. She's under the influence. Her walking there was not necessarily leaving the scene of the accident.
That's exactly
she was just
what
wandering at that point. Because if they were able to get her right away, she obviously wasn't. If she wasn't resisting, is that really leaving the scene of the accident? So that would be something that you can bargain with on that. But the other factors in there, it's really going to be in terms of what are the aggravating and mitigating factors here. There are a couple of aggravating factors we just talked about. Mitigating factors might be things in her background, but we don't. It's so early in the case, we don't even know that yet.
Sad Kate.
Okay, so I've got to pull up the video here. I'll find it right after Jesse Weber finishes talking.
Senseless killings really shouldn't have happened. Unfortunately, it happens way too often. But it's going to be interesting to see which way this plays out. Bob Hilla, good seeing you, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, that's all we.
Wow. Okay, let me find the video. I thought it was on that one. Goodness gracious. Okay, here it is.
We're taking a closer look at the nearly incoherent ramblings of a woman who police say caused a chain reaction crash in Miami while she was high on what's called pink cocaine. This as she faces even more charges. We're going to discuss the evidence against her with trial attorney Alexis Rosenberg. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Macy Marie Lathers calls herself an Instagram model, posting seductive photos of herself, seemingly in the hopes of maybe getting jobs at parties and events in the Miami area. But police say her decision to speed through an intersection and slam into another car might put her behind bars for a long time. That is the allegation.
Okay, I know we know a little bit of this, but they get into the video pretty soon. This is the one I saw yesterday.
That she is facing, and we are getting a look at what first responders were dealing with as they responded to this deadly crash at around 6:45 a.m. on August 10th. Body cam video shows the wreckage of 3 cars.
Afternoon.
Investigators say
3
Lathers
cars.
was driving around 80 miles an hour in a white Mercedes with her foot on the gas pedal 100% when she allegedly ran a red light and crashed into a black Range Rover. And that collision caused the SUV to smash into a Suzuki. 2 people in that car were killed in this crash, identified by family as Abraham Ismael Molina Cruz and his friend Jesus Rubio. Abraham's partner, Juanita Hernandez, was also in the crash.
Hi, Hanover Fist One. Hi, I don't think I've seen you in here before. Yeah, exactly. And she did have a suspended license. He said, I stop it every 10 or 15 seconds because A, I'm not monetized, right? A lot of other true crime people. I could be, I just don't want to go that route. So if you guys want to tip your hostess at all on my Cash App or PayPal, it'd be greatly appreciated. And you're absolutely correct. Please hit the like and let's keep playing.
Crash, but she survived. She says they were just on their way to work when this happened. And the driver of the Range Rover also survived this crash. Now, Law and Crime. We have obtained body cam footage from Miami police that shows an officer's arrival at what is truly a chaotic scene where first responders are working to remove at least one person from the crushed car. And a block away, the officer finds one of his colleagues guarding a woman who is laying on the ground with her hands cuffed behind her back, and that is 24-year-old Macy Lathers. And she appears to moan and seems to roll around in pain and is really unsure of what exactly is going on. Now, witnesses would later tell police that she walked away from the crash, her crashed Mercedes-Benz, that she tried to leave the scene entirely, but they stopped her. And the officers are trying to figure out if Lathers has any injuries, and that's when she reveals.
I mean, I said poor thing because she's young and she had her whole life ahead of her in a different, pretty nice direction for her. But, it's really, really awful that, part of a family had to lose their lives because of her selfish decisions, This is one reason when I partied in my 20s, I didn't even want my license. I didn't want to be tempted ever leaving a bar and thinking, now granted, this is back in the 80s and stuff, but I didn't want to be tempted to be like, oh, you've only had a couple and really I've had 4 or whatever, and do any of this. I still don't drive today, but I do. I've had 2 permits I learned when my son was 4, but I didn't get enough driving time and lessons. I didn't feel, although I see the way people drive and stuff around here and other places, I probably could have gotten it. But the time bypassed, and now I ride my bicycle. Used to take the bus now and then, and I walk. It's healthier anyway.
That she took a drug known as 2C, or pink cocaine. Now, if you don't know what that is, according to an NYU Medical School report that was published in 2023, this is usually a combination of a lot of different drugs: ketamine, ecstasy, cocaine, meth, opioids, other psychoactives. It's a synthetic drug. Researchers say that its pink color It's just for looks, so don't be surprised. Take a look at this video.
Ma'am. She's what? Hey, chill out. ¿Ustedes vieron lo que pasó?
Goodness gracious. Sean B says, I don't drive either, and I never have driven, and I'm 37. Oh, you're so young. Gosh, I had my son when I was 33, so he was 4 when I was 37. Okay, here we go.
I need rescuers to check on one of the passengers in the vehicle. Miami and 8 on the southeast, one corner, black shirt, blue jeans.
Relax, stay on your left because you're going up.
Stay like that. Look down.
Ma'am, can you stay over there looking that way?
I thought that was urine, you guys.
No, she should be sideways.
I think it's vomit, though. But see, looks like the impact and everything might have made her.
She's good, right? Vamos a levantarla y llevarla ahí. Pero así está. I think you were involved in the crash.
She probably won't be able to walk.
Does anything hurt you? Who heard the thing?
We have real-time monitor. Any of those players?
Yeah, more. The other car, I think one is...
My mom.
Hi, Ozymandia. Hi.
Ma'am, what car are you driving?
Oh, that startled me.
My name is Mercedes.
Calm down.
I'm from the future.
Awesome, amazing.
Or Crystal Ball.
Are you on drugs? What do you want?
Wow, she said her name was Mercedes. And what is it really? Now, they just told us a little while ago, and now I've forgotten. Anyway, it's not Mercedes. She's not a teacher, and she certainly doesn't have a crystal ball at this time.
They gave her a shot.
I mean, the female that we have detained, we're going to advise fire rescue. She just told us now she's on Tuesday. So, she's going to be one of the vehicles that got into a collision. She's claiming she's on Tuesday.
Is this unrelated?
Yeah, no, it's related. They had her detained. She's with the white Mercedes that got into an accident.
Have neck pain? I have no neck pain.
She was walking away from it. Yeah. She's trying to leave the scene.
No, she's coming.
Okay. All right. We'll set her up. We'll get her on a sensor. Let's try to make sure she's not like a trauma alert.
Ma'am.
Relax.
Ugh, golly. I've said this before, but I remember drinking in this town in my 40s, right? That's a good 20 years ago. And somebody spiked my drink. And I have nothing against African American people or anything like that, but I know it was 3 young guys that were playing pool with me. Because after I took just a couple sips of my cranberry vodka and I was out alone, just wanted to get away. I was having some issues with my daughter's dad, and I just left, right? And then I was just bouncing my head off the. I remember, I mean, I didn't even grab my purse, I don't think. I just got up. I felt so dizzy. But I thought, until I had heard about all these drugs and things, in hindsight, 4 whole years later, in covering true crime and hearing other people's situations and things like that, I knew that's what had happened to me. And it makes sense too, because they wouldn't look at me and they wouldn't say one word to me like, oh, that's a good shot, playing pool or anything. And they went and got my drink. And I just thought they were being nice and thought I was attractive and wanted to say hi and play pool. That's what I thought. But no. And when I came to, after bouncing my head on the bricks, leaving the building, because I collapsed on my back. And the next thing I remember, they're sticking that thing on my finger and lifting me up on a gurney and took me to the hospital. And then I was in a blackout the whole evening, came to the next day and had acute alcohol poisoning. Now, they never checked for drugs or anything. If I had known about all this kind of stuff, I would have asked. But yeah, I absolutely know I was drugged because I didn't drink that much. It was early. It was like 8 o'clock. I had 2 drafts or something earlier at the bar, 1 beer at home, and then this 2 sips on this drink. I mean, it wasn't even halfway down. I remember a lot of details. So when she acts like this and is crying out in pain and scared, not knowing where she is, I mean, I can relate to that, right? Like many of us can. Um, but I'm going to take this thing off now because I think I can. And I've been on an hour and 7 minutes, which is fine because I can make just lives. I did figure out how to do it finally, what buttons to push without StreamYard earlier.
I told you to relax. Get up. Get her up. Get her up.
She should talk a little nicer to her, for God's sake. She doesn't have a shirt on. Her hair's in her face. She's like, get up, get up. You know what, you guys? I'm going to just say this. Granted, she's the perpetrator, allegedly, or not. We all see, and she's admitted to things, I believe. But aren't you supposed to, like the paramedics, like not supposed to be moving you all over in case her neck is hurt? Or, I mean, obviously they know it's not broke, I guess, because she was turning on the ground. But what if she, was slowly severing her spinal cord or something? I mean, I don't think this protocol is right. I'm almost done, please.
It's 6:04.
I know. I know. Thank you. Um, you know, I mean, they should have put a neck brace on her in case she had a broken neck. She deserves, doesn't she? A little bit of compassion or not to make her injuries worse. Um, because that's what I've seen like in the UK on these ambulance shows. There's one called Flight. Oh, I don't know. I can't remember now, but um, I don't know. And this female cop is like, get up, rushing her. She can probably barely stand on her feet. It irritated me yesterday. It's irritating me now.
She's like, oh, I'm from the future. Okay, hold on, man.
We'll get her there.
Yeah. Name just porque supuestamente Crash should try to leave the scene.
Alright, I'm just gonna need an officer to come with us.
Yeah, gotcha. No problem.
Alien. They're coming. They're coming.
Yeah.
I'll get her legs.
Alright.
Aliens are coming in.
She's
Now,
cold.
according to the state,
She's
Lather's
like,
toxicology report found that there was no alcohol in her system, but there was a variety of drugs. By the way, as we hear cases like this, and we
okay, you know what this just reminded me of massively? Was that, is it Hage, whatever, that actress, you know, who got in her Mini Cooper and floored it? And they found a partially empty vodka bottle in her vehicle, you guys. I mean, I saw it. Somebody took a picture of it because she had spoken to someone before she took off, someone in a parking lot area, because she backed into one of the doors or something, but she didn't even stop then. And they took a picture of her mad inside the vehicle, and this empty vodka bottle was in the little, whatever it's called, console thing for your drinks. Yeah. Yeah. And she takes off, and it's in the middle of the day, and she's speeding down like a suburbia area with little houses. I mean, a dog could have been killed, or a person. And she lost control, was flooring it, went right into a house. Remember that, you guys? I think it was 2 years ago. I don't think it was 3. It might have been. Into the house, the car burst into flames. Anyway, she was in the gurney thing being taken out. She survived it, but she was like dying pretty much. Her brain was going and everything, because she ended up becoming, brain dead, and the family had to unplug the thing. It's very, very sad. But she sat up, and her whole bare back and her hair was kind of wet and matted, and it just reminds me of that. But she didn't kill anyone. But she kind of, I'd say, ended up killing herself, kind of. So who is this? AK-47 says, who is this girl? How do you like I remote to the TV in the white shirt? What? Oh, my TV. How do I like, you mean your avatar? I can't see it very well. It looks like you have a bandana there, but again, I'm not sure. And now I've gosh darn lost my page, but I think it's almost over. Like, it's getting pretty close.
we think about what defendants' arguments will be in court, especially in cases where the evidence can seem quite overwhelming, it just shows you, in my opinion, the importance of having really good lawyers, right? We talk about that all the time. Well, with that in mind, how could I not quickly call out another great law firm, Morgan & Morgan, our proud sponsor here on Sidebar. Look, the truth is,
Okay, hang on here.
Lathers had been given a $140,000 bond at her bond hearing, which she posted. Her attorney says that she was preparing to leave detention when she was hit with the additional charges. So $26,000 was added to the previous bail amount, plus stricter rules for Lathers' house arrest. And she had been out on bond for a couple of weeks when she was once again back in court, and this time she was put in cuffs and hauled off to jail. And that is because prosecutors added 2 new DUI manslaughter charges for allegedly driving under the influence. And reporters in the courtroom say that Lathers seemed to look surprised that she had to sit with other inmates in court for their hearings. Prosecutors did some rearranging of the charges again.
Yes, don't they have to put something on her neck? If you get a neck injury, they're supposed to put a neck brace on your neck, or whatever it's called, to secure your neck. Yeah, I mean, It's like they're treating her like crap, frankly. I'm just going to say it again because she allegedly fled. Now, this is a thing. They said they got her, tackled her, whatever they did, a block away. And it looked like it from the scene, right? But how do we know her car didn't end up 10 feet or 20, spinning and out of control this direction away from the accident? I mean, I don't know. And it doesn't make it okay if she fled or not, but you need to be treated with some dignity and respect when you're out of your mind like that and you don't even know what's going on. I mean, it's obvious she's very, very impaired, right? Her top is gone. It looked like she, urinated herself. They said she was vomiting. There was fluid around her face. I don't think that was blood. Her hair was wet from it. It's really sad.
Against Lathers, and she now faces 10 counts. And we double checked with the Miami-Dade County, and these are the charges that we see. 2 counts of DUI manslaughter for the deaths of Ismael and Rubio, which includes the aggravating factor of failure to render aid. 1 count of DUI causing bodily injury to another. 1 count of reckless driving causing serious injury. 3 counts of driving without a driver's license resulting in injury or death. 2 counts of vehicular homicide caused by failure to stop. 1 count of leaving the scene of an accident involving death. Juanita Hernandez was also in court this past week when Lathers was taken into custody, and she told local outlet NBC6 that it was a horrible feeling seeing her and that she didn't look remorseful. She said,
Sad.
the defendant is a danger to society. Lathers has pleaded not guilty to all charges. He's expected back in court again next week for a pretrial detention hearing. Now I want to bring on Florida trial attorney Alexis Rosenberg. Alexis, good to see you. Thanks for coming on. My understanding is you are in Fort Lauderdale, not too far from Miami. Just starting off, when we talk about 2C, when we talk about pink cocaine, is that prevalent in that area? Is that something that people talk about?
Thank you for having me on, first of all. Well, Miami, the area of Miami, when it comes to the club scene, it does seem to have a history of being a leader in these type of club drugs. So,
Good grief. Okay. Mr. Weber said ketamine, opioids, meth. What else did he say? Now I can't remember. She'll say. Oh, well, anyway.
cocaine is what they refer to as a club drug, and this drug, as you kind of touched upon, is a combination of drugs, which you brought up is very interesting because she didn't have any alcohol in her system.
Yeah, no, she didn't have any alcohol in her system. So it seems like it's really, we're focusing on the 2C, on the drug, which makes me think how she's going to defend herself. And I'll get to that in a second. But first I want to go to this new development, this new footage that came out. How does this footage affect the case?
Well, it's going to be it appears to be that it's going to be a very much of an uphill battle for whoever is defending this case. Because now we have footage.
I think so too. Oh my God, my whole entire Wi-Fi shut down and it all went to your channel. It says AK-47. Okay, that's really bizarre. That's good for me, I guess. It must mean I'm out there. I mean, I'm not as popular as many people. I may not be popular at all. But, but I got a few subs yesterday and I super appreciate that. If you guys can help me to my goal of 2,500, I'd so appreciate it. Thank you.
Right after and of her state and how she was, not just the testimony that would ultimately come out if there's a trial about what she was saying and how she was acting. I think that there is a lot of damaging evidence against her. I mean, just her admissions, which they're going to have a hard time keeping out, as well as the state she was in, and the pictures. I mean, the pictures of these vehicles are really, really going to be impactful on a jury.
What would be a defense here?
The only defense that I could possibly think of is that she didn't actually ingest the drugs, meaning that intentionally. Maybe somebody spiked her drink or something of that nature, and she didn't know. But the thing was, she does make that admission, and during that admission, she doesn't say that she thinks somebody put something in her drink, or during the admission that I don't know.
Put something in her drink, like a regular Coca-Cola or a water, maybe. Or not a Coke, but whatever she drinks, because there was no alcohol in her system, which of course people will do. They'll put it in any of your drinks. Oops, what am I doing? God.
No, I'm not feeling right. She knew exactly what that, she had taken and ingested. So that would still be a very much of a uphill battle as well.
The reason I say that is because there's a case that came out, and now I look at drug-induced crimes very differently. It was the Bryn Spetcher case. This woman stabbed a man over 100 times, and she had a marijuana-induced psychosis. And in that case, yes, she was convicted of manslaughter, but the judge ended up sentencing her to probation, not prison.
She got
so
probation?
Now I look at all these cases a little bit differently, and I think it matters in terms of
I knew
what
she
was
didn't get
ingested,
prison
how
time
was it
because he
ingested,
said so.
what
I
did you
didn't
know
know
of
she
this
just
drug?
got probation.
So obviously we're still developing some of the facts here. There could be a fact pattern. I'm not saying it's true, but there could be a fact
Wow.
pattern where she says, I didn't realize I ingested 2C, but I've taken it before, so I knew what it was. I knew what the effect was on me. Maybe that's why she said, yeah, I'm high on 2C. But do you think that could be
At least she admitted it.
A possibility where you take this drug, you might not know the effects it would have, you don't anticipate the effects that it would have, and you get behind the wheel, you cause a terrible crash, you don't mean to walk away. Not to say that she wouldn't be found guilty, but maybe she wouldn't necessarily go to prison for many years. I don't know. You tell me.
Well, I think that case is slightly different in the sense that marijuana generally overall does not have the effect of
that's a different case, Leanie, the brunette.
And stab somebody like that.
She
So
stabbed
that
boyfriend on a
stronger argument
marijuana-induced psychosis.
Under those
155 times didn't get prison.
This is a cocktail of drugs that going in, you pretty much don't know. You're playing Russian roulette in a way because you don't really know what exactly is in it, and you're going in that with open.
Well, they said what was in it, but they're saying if you think you're just doing pink COCAINE, right, then maybe you don't know there's a cocktail of drugs in it. Okay, I didn't even think of that. But again,
with open eyes, as well as some of the effects that she had, the hallucinations and things of those nature that are coming out.
Hi, Sister Kelly.
Consistent with that particular drug. Now, getting behind the car and driving fast and hallucinating, we would hope she wouldn't get behind the wheel, but the hallucinations would be consistent with what you were trying to achieve if you were trying to take this drug.
And taking, as if she really was hallucinating, talking about aliens.
She said, my name's Mercedes and I'm a teacher, but her real name is Macy. Oh, God, you guys, now I can't remember what the last name is. This is what I mean about my memory. Anyway, and she said, I have a crystal ball.
Aliens and things like that she's from the future would make sense. Why was she hit with the DUI manslaughter charges now, and what do you have to prove in order to get a conviction for those?
So they were waiting, the state attorney, because they wanted the toxicology to come back to show what was in her system and the levels that were in her system. Like you had mentioned, initially the police officers weren't sure if she was manifesting the way she was initially because she was injured. They really didn't know what was going on because it's not unheard of if somebody, hits their head and has a concussion. It can manifest in different ways. So, they weren't sure about that. So they were waiting. That was the main reason for that. I mean, the manslaughter, the vehicular homicide in Florida is pretty easy to prove in the sense that we have that you were, driving recklessly. I think that's going to be easy. And someone basically died due to it. So I don't think there's no intent. You don't have to have the intent that you want to harm somebody. It really is, they get through the intent that way, that you had the intent to get behind.
Intent to get behind the wheel. I wonder if it's like something that you take or people take, and then it affects everyone differently. And maybe she was okay in the beginning. Hi, Truth Seeker. Hello. Hi. And then boom, she just went into like maybe a psychosis or a blackout or all those different drugs in one thing. I mean, it's really outrageous. Can you imagine so many things at once?
Behind the wheel, and then you acted in the manner that you acted, and because of that, somebody died. So, I mean, that's going to be based on the facts that we're hearing, unless something else comes out. That's going to be pretty easy for the prosecution to get a conviction on.
My hair,
and what is she looking at in terms of potential punishment? My understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, the manslaughter could be 4 to 30 years in prison. But she's also hit with numerous charges. So what could she potentially be looking at if she's convicted across the board?
Well, the vehicular manslaughter is a maximum of 15. So, but she's looking at, with all of these, potentially 30 years. That's a long, long time. Now, unfortunately, because we do have 2 individuals that are deceased,
yes,
the likelihood of, even if she was convicted by a jury, that she would be sentenced to that is pretty low.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is pretty low. I don't believe.
Why do you say that? Why do you say that? Considering 2 lives were taken and what is arguably, alleged, she hasn't been found guilty yet, but what is clearly a senseless case. They were on their way to work.
Well, that's the thing, right? Manslaughter, but people died in 2. I think she's going to get some kind of life, maybe with parole because she's young. But in Mississippi, they didn't give that to Carly Gregg, and she killed 1 person. Did attempt the second, but still. Wow. Thanks, Truth Seeker. Thanks so much. Short hair's fun. It's easy to take care of, and I can have long again someday if I want.
And the allegation is some girl who's high on, this synthetic drug just slams right into them, killing them. I mean, is 30 years outside the realm of possibility?
I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility, but generally, overall, if you look at sentencing, that in that area, that's not customary. I mean, this has gotten a lot of media attention, so it may be that. First of all, likelihood is this isn't going to go to a trial. She's probably going to take a plea. But
I thought it was going to trial for sure.
It hasn't come out. I believe she didn't really have a prior record other than the suspended license. Now, the court is going to take that into consideration for sure if we get to the sentencing phase. But whether she has a prior record is going to be calculated into that as well. I'm assuming that she would also put forth different individuals that would come forward and say she's an amazing human being and this was just a mess up, or she was a drug, had a dependency issue. And if I was her attorney,
Wow. Okay, it's got 4 more minutes and then I'm going to end my live. You guys have been on an hour and a half almost.
I would advise her to get in a rehab right now, because really that, when it comes to sentencing, is going to be a huge thing. Are you acknowledging you had a dependency issue, as well as are you seeking treatment?
What would be a deal? What would a deal look like?
You know, I definitely think the deal in this situation is going to include actually her serving some time. I'm not saying that they're going to offer a deal that she doesn't serve some sort of time. The question is, how much time is she going to serve? I mean, I'm just not, like, we've been discussing this. What are her defenses? Her defenses really are, okay, somebody put something in her drink. Possibly they could try at sentencing what you said about reducing it because she didn't realize she was going to react that way. But now she's all over social media as well, that we've got her appearing like she's partying pretty much all the time in some form. And so that could potentially come in.
Well, yeah.
As well, if she tries to play that or argue that she, had never done this before, this drug. But now we have posts where she's out on yachts, with drinks in her hand. She's really seems to appear from her social media that she was in that scene.
I was going to ask you if any of that social media content would make its way in. That's an interesting perspective about. Now, obviously, the defense would say it's irrelevant, it's prejudicial. Bond hearing. You talk about the idea of she should get herself in a rehab. She's currently in jail. There's going to be a bond hearing next week. What do you think the likelihood is that her defense can mount a successful argument that she should be out pending trial?
Under the circumstances.
Wow. What do you guys think of this? It's really something.
I don't think they're going to win that. But related to the, going for help, going to rehab, her attorney can file a motion and ask that she's able to do that. The likelihood is the court, depending on the type of place that she was seeking to go, would probably grant that. In my experience, they want to support that, and it's just a question of how restrictive that is. That she can't come and go, check herself out, and they would put in parameters about that.
Well, to end this, put a bow on this, and going back to the victims in this case, there has been this GoFundMe that has been set up, and Ms. Hernandez, who I mentioned, wrote this. And I want everybody to hear this. Abraham's son, just 16 years old, has been left without the love and care of his father, who was his whole world. Due to my injuries, and I am unable to work at the moment, and the young man's life has changed radically. His mother, who lives in Nicaragua and suffers from Parkinson's, is also now grieving, helpless, and without the financial support her son provided. Again, just a really tragic situation, sad situation.
Wow. Ben Miller? I don't know who that is. Do you mean Steve Miller, AK-47? Steve Miller Band?
We will see how it progresses, whether a plea deal will actually happen, and in the immediate future to see if she's out on bond next week. Alexis Rosenberg, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, everybody, that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining us, and as always, please subscribe.
Thank you, Mr.
on
Weber.
Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse.
All right. Okay, you guys. Ow, my leg is so stiff. Well, I'm going to make dinner. It's 6:36. I'm making spaghetti and meatballs, and I bought this, not garlic roll, but this long Japanese roll. It's like a big donut. A little bit sweet, not really, kind of crunchy on the outside, soft on the inside, and has all this Japanese writing on it. Yeah. So anyway, and I'll make that, just throw that in the oven. Thank you for coming to PCT is Extreme. Prayers for all the victims in this. Prayers, I would say, for Macy. Wow. And hi, Art Go Show. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. Let's see. So I'm gonna go. Please hit the like. Thank you, Leanie. Are you still in here? It's because of you. I got some subs yesterday. I think I got 6. Like, I'm so happy. Good night, Sean B. Good night, everyone. Like, I'm really, really happy. You made a picture of Marilyn Monroe, AK-47, in Legos? Anyway, I'm going to go. I already showed my coin, my 13-year coin. There it is. Might look a little backwards. There it is. And what's really important about AA is unity, service, and recovery. To thine own self be true. And yeah. And on the back is God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I think, oh God, I will go ahead and read from this, which I was going to do 3 months ago. Courage to change. It is one day at a time, Al-Anon, but it applies to all of us. So today is September 25th, and let's see what it says, because I haven't looked at this for a little while. My son's in there playing drums. Okay. September 25th, I find myself taking step 3 over and over again. And I can't even remember all the steps. I know step 1 is admitting I'm powerless over alcohol, over alcohol, and my life has become unmanageable. But 2 and 3 now, I think 3 is turning to a higher power and putting him there or her in front of you, right there. Yep, that's it. I often wait until a problem starts to overwhelm me before I finally give in and turn it over to my higher power. Nevertheless, today I am striving to place my entire will and my life in my higher power's hands with the willingness to accept his or her will for me, no matter what. Hi, St. Elmo's Fire. The awareness I've gained in AA or Al-Anon lets me know that my way has seldom worked in the past. It's only when I let go and trust the inner voice that quietly nudges me in the direction of my higher powers, choosing that my life becomes fulfilling. Today's reminder: is there an area in my life that I treat as though it were too important to turn over to a higher power? Are my efforts to control that area making my life better and more manageable? Are they doing any good at all? I can hold on to my will until the situation becomes so painful that I am forced to submit. Or I can put my energy where it can do me some good right now and surrender to my higher power's care. And Martin Luther, there's a little thing on the bottom. It's by Martin Luther. Oops, wrong side. See? Martin Luther. He says, I have held many things in my hands, and I have lost them all. But whatever I have placed in God's hands, that I still possess. Martin Luther. Aw, I like this. I'm going to keep it out. Tomorrow I'll read September 26th. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. Love you.